Joe.
So I have a couple of a question and some follow-ups. There we go. Thanks. Got to put my glasses on. I made some notes. So, knowing that every family in supportive housing is different, is there a benchmark? Is there a percentage of supportive housing families that are considered successful long-term? Knowing that what a success look like, and I really thought it was interesting that Emily talked about outgrowing supportive housing. And so, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think it's important to not expect things to happen overnight with these families. It takes time. Like I said, 4 years in, we're just seeing families becoming stable. I think that has a lot to do with being consistent, non-judgmental. You take that social work stance, you meet them where they're at, no matter what the day. And you see the good and you see the bad, and I think as long as you're able to have that rapport and that trust, really I think in the beginning, the basic concepts have to be there. Building that rapport, building trust with these families, knowing that they can come back, that if they make a mistake, that let us know so we can help you. If you relapse, let us know. I think there's a lot of fear when these families come into supportive housing. I think it's hard to get them to realize that it's not the shelter all over again, but they're going to come in probably with that mindset. And so letting them know that a relapse doesn't equal eviction, that if you're struggling with paying the rent, let us know. With Palladia, we're also the property manager, so it's a fine line that we walk, but when we know that a family is struggling, we're able to say, let's hold off. Let's do a payment plan, an internal payment plan, which we've been very successful with. That helps as well. So as far as growth, it's gradual, very gradual. And we celebrate the small achievements, the smallest. An interview, being able to spend time with your children at night, cooking dinner in a kitchen that you haven't had before. Those are big deal things for these families.
So is there a benchmark where you say, okay, out of 10 families, we can pretty much say that X number will be successful, whatever that means for them?
Right. I think our families, out of the 31 that we've had 4 years later, the core of them, more than half of them are still with us. So the turnover has been very small. Success to me, it's different for everybody,
right.
But what's success to them? I think asking the family that, how will you feel like you've reached a successful point in your life? What I think sometimes for them it's leaving supportive housing, ultimately. That's a success for them.
I think creating measurable outcomes for your program are very key in providing good services from the get-go. Because you want to know, it is because every family is individual and they all have different needs and different backgrounds. So in order to kind of see where your program is at, engage what you need to work on, maybe, clinically or whatever it might be, having quality measurable outcomes at the get-go are really important. Length of stay is a way to measure your program success. I think not reunification, but just keeping the family intact is another good way. Also, are they doing their service plans on a monthly basis? That's a great way to see, are they engaged? Are they coming in? So those are ways to really kind of gauge where your program is at and how many. The other thing with supportive housing is, yes, we have this idea that we're working towards self-sufficiency, right? But I don't know about you guys here, but New York, self-sufficiency, to be self-sufficient, you gotta have some income. So here we are saying, you're ready to leave supportive housing, but where are they gonna go? So there's that whole aspect too of even if they are successful, you can't necessarily gauge a time frame because they might be ready, but there's just not an opportunity for them.
And I do think you could get some of the data from the Keeping Families Together kind of report. Like some other indicators that I know Alison really kept track of was the number of kind of child welfare, the new child welfare reports, the number of removals, which really, given the histories of the population that these programs work with, is relatively a small number, given the histories of serious child welfare involvement, given the prior removals. The housing stability is another really important metric that I know both of them keep track of. And I think that if you think about the kind of backgrounds of the families that Emily just talked about, the fact that over 50% are still in housing, over a number of years is huge. And but I think that there's also some data from the report that can give you some benchmarks from the pilot.